What universe is this?
South Park Into the Panderverse is the latest South Park special where Kathleen Kennedy becomes the poster child for everything wrong in the universe. This special lays bare Hollywood's pathetic love affair with the multiverse concept, showcasing it as a lazy excuse to rehash worn out storylines, often just swapping the race or gender of beloved characters in a lackluster bid to appear socially progressive.
Kathleen Kennedy is down on set right now ruining the new Bambi movie.
Any diverse woman in it, make it same.
The calamity of this South Park special spirals from Kathleen Kennedy's reckless use of the Panderstone, a gimmick allowing her to exploit the multiverse and spew out a cascade of pandering, cookie cutter films. The tables turn on her hilariously as she, along with Eric Cartman, who harbored dreams of an alternate reality where everyone he knew was a diverse female griping about the patriarchy, find themselves replaced by alternate versions of themselves. Simultaneously, most of the men of South Park are hit with the reality that their jobs have become superfluous due to AI. This catapults the local handymen into a bizarre fortune as the demand for their trade skills suddenly skyrockets. But of course, with this being South Park, the adults too find a way to point their finger at Kathleen Kennedy and completely dodge the responsibility they should take for their own choices.
I'm just saying, isn't it possible that we here at Disney pandered so much that we've opened a doorway to the Panderverse?
I'm going to attempt to bring a little nuance to this conversation because I've seen both sides attempt to claim this special as taking their side. So for those of you celebrating South Park's obliteration of Kathleen Kennedy, keep in mind that the critique of Disney is mainly voiced by Eric Cartman, who is traditionally the most morally degenerate character on the show. This portrayal suggests that the side criticizing Kathleen Kennedy is seen as reactionary, and it's being represented by a character known for his racist and fear-driven shenanigans.
I've told you there's no such thing as Disney executives who replace everyone you love with diverse women who complain about the patriarchy. Now be a big boy.
I've scoured some reviews on the special, and there's definitely a noticeable chunk of folks on the other side of the argument, let's dub them woke, who are laser focused on this aspect of the narrative. They should remember that Kathleen Kennedy, in the special, because she would never do this in real life, concedes to Cartman's criticism, admitting that Disney movies have dipped in quality because she was lax in her attempt to address social issues. The Disney execs themselves initially faced the fact that continually pandering and making the same movie over and over again is leading to drop in stock and failures in their cinematic projects. That is until the end, at least, where Bob Iger pretty much admits that they're going to stick to the same crap.
That's actually the best explanation I've heard as to why Disney movies all suck now.
To play devil's advocate here, there's definitely a swirl of mixed messaging throughout the special. Kathleen Kennedy explains to Cartman that she only started using the Panderstone after being bombarded with hate mail, whereas Cartman argues that the hate is a result of Kennedy using the Panderstone. So South Park is presenting it as a snake eating its own tail argument, which is an unusually safe argument for Stone and Parker to make. And by safe, I mean it's a vague enough stance to not ruffle either side's feathers. But clearly, one side had to kickstart the cycle, and it doesn't make much sense for the critics' side to have ignited the issue.
This is just taking Cartman, same old Cartman, and putting a black woman in it.
Kyle Broflovsky has always been the voice of reason amid the absurdity of Eric Cartman. And where Eric opposes Kathleen Kennedy, Kyle opposes PC Principle. Kyle isn't attempting to argue that Cartman is right despite the evidence that Cartman really was being replaced by a diverse woman, nor is he siding with Disney and Kathleen Kennedy. His stance is pretty clear. One, he believes the multiverse is an overcooked concept, and two, it doesn't make sense to swap the skin tone and gender of a character and expect people to just accept it. The only reason that Kyle and the others agree to help diverse Cartman is because PC Principle threatens the boys with 3 weeks detention if they don't accept the change.
And if you say anything more about a black woman Cartman not making any sense, then you can all just have 3 weeks detention. Now get out of my office!
PC Principle mirrors a very real and growing community on social media who will ruthlessly vilify anyone who doesn't bow down to every ludicrous new cultural norm and trend, showcasing a pathetic yet dangerous herd mentality that threatens the existence of any real conversation. So whether you're on the side of Cartman or Kennedy, take a moment to consider what the voice of reason character is saying.
And showed us an ancient piece of artificial intelligence that could be used to make the same movies over and over again while appealing to absolutely everyone.
People who have watched the video up until this point will probably believe that I'm taking the middle of the road, but I'm really just pointing out what the South Park special is actually saying. Personally, I align with the side criticizing Disney, But I would have preferred to see South Park take a jab at Bob Iger instead, really honing in on Hollywood's obsession with the multiverse as a lazy crutch that enables studios to basically gloss over real-world social issues. It often boils down to shallow nods towards diversity and representation without any meaningful engagement or exploration of how the issue actually affects real people. The superficial pandering, masked as progressiveness, does little more than pat studios on the back while real issues continue to remain unaddressed. So if you're the kind of person in Hollywood who spots real-world problems and thinks the answer is to weaponize entertainment as a bludgeon to bash the audiences over the head in a misguided attempt to fix the world, you're treading a self-defeating path. If you really want to be an activist who doesn't accomplish anything, just go start a Twitter account. Don't exploit entertainment to voice your inability to affect change.
We don't understand it, sir. We keep making the same movie over and over and pandering to everyone, but suddenly it's not working. Then we've got to pander harder!
Kathleen Kennedy isn't the puppet master pulling all the strings. In reality, she's more like the gardener who, instead of pulling out the weeds, waters them and gives them room to spread, choking out the flowers everyone came to see. Kathleen Kennedy is a symptom of a bigger issue, which is that large studios are so fixated on raking in cash that they hand over creative control to people who think they can tap into trends, then double down on that trend instead of course correcting when necessary and making executives admit their mistakes. Kennedy has been the focus of hate for years, and it's become so well known that even South Park decided to chime in and offer their own commentary. But Kathleen Kennedy wouldn't have made it this far if she hadn't been carried by the toxic studio culture of Disney.
I know you care about all things Disney. I'm sorry I was so reckless with the things that you love. It was just lazy.
I guess just wailing on woke stuff all the time is pretty lazy too.
I completely understand why the South Park Panderverse special resonates with so many people, but if we're gonna rip into Disney for the nosedive their films and TV shows have taken, we should aim higher than Kathleen Kennedy. It's like blaming a cog in the machine while ignoring the people who built it in the first place. Problems are bigger than one person, and slapping the villain label solely on Kennedy misses the bigger picture. It also results in people getting excited over receiving a little bit of affirmation from something like the South Park special poking fun at Kathleen Kennedy, which I think just distracts us from the bigger issues, much like how Marvel will put in a tiny bit of fan service into one of their films, and people go crazy over that and mainly ignore all the real issues. If I had to name a complaint I had with the special, I think it would just be that it didn't make me laugh as much as South Park used to. And it's been that way for the past 5 or 6 seasons. I think somewhere along the line, they decided to put more emphasis on really honing in on the current day issues, but lost some of the irreverence that made South Park special in the first place. Unfortunately, with South Park's current schedule and their deal with Paramount Plus, I don't see that changing, but luckily there are still over a dozen hilarious seasons to watch. Overall, I thought it was a good special, but I think the Panderstone plotline is more for a niche audience. My wife, who has seen all the Star Wars and Marvel movies with me, had never even heard of Kathleen Kennedy before the special, so she definitely didn't get some of the jokes. But I'll admit, it was nice to see someone in the mainstream with comedic clout like South Park mocking Kathleen Kennedy and Disney. If it felt like I spent most of the video taking the middle path, it's just because I saw a lot of reviews where people thought that their side had been completely vindicated, and it was sad. People need to be a little more thoughtful and reflective, I think. I mean, hell, Kennedy used the Panderstone because she didn't want to think. She didn't want to do the real work. So how about we all try not being like that? But I'll get off my high horse now. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell so you never miss out on a new video. Thanks for watching.